Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM24 Yeti. It's episode 14. Last time out, we finished with a win in a .1 race. We unlocked the first of the 4 groupings of Pop 2 nations. But more than that, back to the old playstyle of Build a Nation. Granada, Walters, who won the race, is from Granada. It was a chance at a Pop 2 increase, and it happened. It's a roll the dice with those. Now, here's why this series and the snowball is so important and makes it possible. If you watched PCM Lions last year for the PCM23 version, or back to the PCM22 Dragons series where I took on Build a Continent with Asia, watching back to those, or in your own experience, it's hard to build those nations up. Yes, you can build the popularity. Yes, you can increase the training, but the benefits to doing that takes years. It takes multiple years before you're going to see that. Increase the popularity to 2. Well, they've already created all the 18, 19-year-old riders for this season. And the cycle goes so far back that it takes 3 years, 4 years, before you see the benefits of an increased popularity or an increased training rating. It makes it a lot more difficult to have that playstyle. And that's why and from what I'm hearing, so many of you are excited by this series. It's taking that concept of build a nation, but it's turning it into build a pool, build a rider pool. And that has worked out really well because I had 32 nations unlocked. We started with a base of 30. We unlocked those 2 Pop 1 nations. And at 32 nations, well, I just unlocked 15 more. Half, right? Half of what we had. But because they are Pop 2 nations, essentially I just doubled, or possibly even more than doubled the pool of riders that we had before. And even though we are still in the ZLM tour, we're going to get to that in just a second. 2 stages left to go, and Red Walters leads the race. We have a chance to get another win via GC. But in those 15 nations, I've already gone through the riders that have been added into the pool, and I'm excited. My sticky notes tracking of riders, I had already signed the majority of the good ones for this season, a la Red Walters. I had already signed them to the team. We had like 5 guys that could ride, and we had a few prospects. And that was the squad. I had noted 12 other riders, 4 of which were like a little bit worse than what we have, but could provide a little here and now support. And then another handful of prospects, of which really only 1 was a new arrival on the scene. The others were just leftovers from last year's group. Should be obvious that that's the scenario, right? The likelihood of new riders that are ready to contribute on a yearly basis for a training 1 nation is so low. Doubling the pool is going to get our hands on a lot more. And one of those nations has a training rating of 2 and comes in with some better options that are out there. Some of which, though, are already on a team and have existing contracts for the coming year. So not everybody that we have access to is somebody we have access to this year. Down the road, yes. Will they ever get on the team? Because will I snowball further and go beyond them? Well, that's a wait and see. But at least some of those riders, majority, are going to be available this August. The hard part now is that we're so late into the dossier period, so getting them signed could be tricky. But as far as the original game mechanic and the build a nation, Red Walters has leveled his home nation of Granada up from a Pop 1 to a Pop 2. By the way, if I were to keep on going with this, if I were to push him into Pop 3, Pop 4 kind of territory, we'll never lose Granada. We will always have Granada. Once it's added to the pool, it's ours. Even if some unknown rider from Granada goes out and wins a stage at the Tour de France and the Pop just balloons from there, it doesn't matter. That's our nation. Entering stage 4, this is the challenging one. Stage 5 should be straightforward and easy, but stage 4 has a couple thousand meters of elevation change. There's a lot of undulation. There's a lot of rolling hills. That undulation, that 2,000 meters, is the other stages, the other 4 stages combined. Multiply it by 2. So there's a lot more happening on stage 4 than the other stages. We're not necessarily built for climbs, so we are going to have to protect our lead, which is held by Red Walters. He's got an expected +3. He's got teammates with expected +3s and a +2. Oh, so close, like 1 day away for Corey Williams from his fitness peak. And only a couple guys that have been struggling. Sabanda, coming back from an injury, has had he's had a pretty okay run. He's had a -5 one day. He has had at least 1 or 2 decent days of the 3 days out in the saddle that we have controlled. All right, let's get to it. 2 stages left, and Red Walters looking to hang on to the overall victory. We're going to jump in and out of various parts of this stage, but as the stage is getting underway, 5 riders are off the front, still trying to form up as a breakaway, but here come more trying to join in, which I'm very much not a fan of, so we are going to speed up to try to track those guys down. Are any of them a threat? No, they are not a threat, but what I'm worried about is quantity. You get too many riders into the break, you get too many riders attacking off, and you're just going to have a situation that's untenable. A minute and a half is the gap to all of them, so it's really not that big of a deal, but getting the support to try to keep them under control is the tricky portion. So it looks like nobody else is interested. Let's hope that this is not something that's just going to spiral and get worse, because at the moment that is way more riders than I'm looking to have off the front. It's already 11. It could be really hard to pull back if nobody else is going to contribute. I'd rather see us pull back these 6 and let those 5 get away. So we're going to get a little support here. Let's get Williams up there for a bit to help pull this back. And let's see if we can catch that for 6 and then sit up real quick. But the front is starting to disintegrate as a couple riders have been dropped. I'm okay if those couple riders come back to us. It might make it a little bit easier if they drop about 3 riders from that group. It's just with 11, there's too much firepower. All right, there we go. Some riders are getting dropped. This is our opportunity. That was an attack for that KOM. If we can bring back about 3 riders, then I think we're looking good to set up. And at this point, it's already nearly out to 2 minutes anyway, so this is fairly well established to where you don't expect anybody else to be able to attack. Here comes the first one back, Cruel, to the group. They said the whole group is on a similar time. It's not a big deal. 2 more to bring back, and I think I'm then content to sit up a little bit and let it out to about 3 minutes. And there we go. Okay, it's down, but it's thinning again. It's thinning in the kind of way that I want it to. It's out to 2.5 minutes, out to 2:45 even. But a lot of these riders aren't handling the situation. I would love to see it at 4. They are managing to come back together bit by bit, though. Alright, I think it's time we sit up, especially Sabanda and Funsavith. Why don't you guys just sit on, relax for a minute, and try to recover. Williams, I think we're okay. I think we're okay with the current scenario. Little further on down the road, as we go into another circuit of all these little KOMs, Abdullah now doing the work at the front. Williams on a +5. I really shouldn't have been working him in the first place. I wasn't necessarily paying attention to ratings, just looking for domestiques, but he's going to be a very good lead out today and potentially a sprint contender. And remember, it doesn't need to be Walters taking time right now. that we would certainly use him at the end of the line to go for something. But if Williams can get on a podium, he's stopping somebody else from getting 10, 6, or 4 seconds. If the breakaway takes it, we are stopping others from getting that. By the way, that just suddenly in the last 15 kilometers went from 2.5 minutes to 8, and I did not notice as I backed off a little bit to get my guys fresh. It is time to start chasing. We have 73K to go. It's okay if the breakaway takes the stage because they're taking away those time bonuses away from others, but we have got to get back inside a minute and a half, and that right now is starting to look tricky, especially if other teams do not contribute. The back 4 of that group never caught up, and we are pulling them back pretty quickly right now, but I worry about those front 4 and the gap that they have. We're not built for managing a break. We don't have the flat ratings for it, and this is looking problematic. We are inside 60K to go. Let's go ahead and slow it down just a little bit. Let me think about this regatta. Go get water. 52K to go. That's good. That's from the front group. That is from the front group. Gosh, how did he make contact again already? We're almost back to those front 4. But I'm very nervous about the gap here at 7.5 minutes. Regatta. Oh, it won't let me go left any more than this. All right, come on through. Last time we have to get water. Those front 4, it's scary. And none of the sprinters, none of them care. This is the you versus everyone scenario. You're going to join Williams. Go ahead and protect the actual leader. Walters will let Hopkins ride on his own. And we have now 4 guys to do the work, and we got to start riding harder. So here's the 4. We've pulled them back, but it's still 7.5 minutes to the other guys and just 37K. 6 minutes to pull back is not going to be easy, and no other teams are contributing at all. It's ridiculous that nobody else, all these sprint teams, all these teams that have something to gain out of the GC, and yet none of them are willing to step up. That's kind of the absurd situation. Here they come. 23K to go. This is sprint teams. Even if you get it down to just, say, 3 or 2.5, that still puts the 4 of them in the lead. It's game over. Never mind winning the sprint. This is all about getting these guys down inside the range. And they're probably not thinking about GC at this point. They're thinking about a stage. Okay, Honda Williams. Regatta. See if you can give me a little bit more at the end of this thing. 2:44. Let's get an official time check. Just how bad is it? 2:29. 1:23. Time bonuses. Include those time bonuses. 1:23. So 1:13 is what we've got to get it within. That's a full minute to gain in 6K. Leading out his group. 3.5K. 2 minutes.
Another attack. This time
Hopkins bringing it forward. Down to minute 40. 2K. Sprinting. There's the win for Hartiel. Hartiel was not the one on the best time. Walters is going to run out a red bar before the finish line, I think. It's a minute 45. Minute 47. Crap. Just like that, it's gone. They got time bonuses at 4 time checks too, or 3 time checks, right? The group split up somewhere between the first and second time check, I believe. Minute 50 officially given. Walters ends up 5th on the sprint. Of course, we sent him way too early and without a proper lead out. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4 at a 40-second advantage. 40 seconds. 1 stage left. Stage hunting now. Wow. I blew it. The AI did the most to blow it. I didn't. I had a 15K stretch where I backed off to let it go out a little bit. It was 20 seconds in my eyes, and it went from a 240 to an 8-minute gap. That 20-second stretch is where I blew it. That part's my bad. I never wanted them to get that sort of gap. I never had any intention of letting them get it out. I backed off a little so they could pull it out a little bit, and then to speed right back up. I didn't back off much at all, and it was only a handful of kilometers. But the AI could have, should have, at literally any point, wanted to contribute, because it was a sprint stage. And it's nothing but sprint teams here. We were contributing, so the incentive was there for others to participate, and they never did, until they went sprint train at the end, who set themselves up for a sprint finish that just wasn't coming. Obviously, I take blame for that tiny stretch, but beyond that, AI did us absolutely no favors whatsoever. We're not built to protect leads, but I played it as well as I could, except that part. And I really blew it on that part. We immediately started chasing the moment I recognized it, but it was too late. Quick check-in on the final stage, and 4 teams are working together to chase back the break today. Why nobody else would support when I did it? They let the gap get out to 7 minutes, and I was ready to laugh that it was about to happen again. But then all of a sudden, 4 teams. 4 teams get involved. One team, the number 1 team, the yellow jersey wearer, his team was doing all the work, and they let it get out to 7 minutes. They were slowly pulling it back, but it was not looking good. And then 3 more teams come forward and join them, and a huge group chases it down. When it's you, there's no cooperation. For them, plenty of cooperation. Down to 240, down to 72K. Let's get to the end of the stage. Not all hope is lost in this race, because we could still win the sprint today. We've done it before. We can do it again. There is still a chance. Walters has a +4. Williams has a +5 to lead him out. We'll see what we can do with this, but we're inside 10K now. Sabanda pushed pretty hard with Regatta. Now that we're out front, we'll go a little less hard, but trying to maintain a gap over the others without a 99 is challenging. 8K. Regatta did his job well. From 7th, at least a 97 minimum now. 6K up to a 98. Okay, 99 territory from here on out. Food Sabbath not setting us up terribly well at this point. We're being overtaken. We really can't battle these guys head to head. They are mid-70s. Even with race day condition bonuses, we are low 70s. A little late to the gels, too late for the gels even, so on we go. Hopkins leading out Williams and Walters. Williams is there, but I don't see Walters. It's a little early for Williams to have no Walters behind him, and Williams gets overrun, and Walters was too far behind. So Williams set that up perfectly for Walters, but Walters lost his wheel, so Lenardi takes the win. God, very disappointing. From the highs to the lows. This is a roller coaster, folks. Got one just right. And it really does take us getting it just right. But we were already out front. To keep, look at the results here. Lenardi, Eddy, and Hodeg were not threats to our position. I don't know about the last stage. Stage 4, we don't know who would have, well, technically we know who would have won. Viviani, right? Viviani was the lead sprinter. I don't remember who the 2 guys were behind him, but it was not any of the guys that were a key threat to us, I don't believe. So, yeah. If I hadn't screwed up that 15K early in the stage and let that gap get out too far, and if other teams would have stepped in support. Here, a 5th team came forward late on and led out for a while, setting up their sprint train early. So 5 teams worked together. If even one other team would have stepped up, we would have caught those guys. The reason we couldn't catch them was I had 4 riders chasing 4 riders. Now, yes, they'd been in the breakaway all day. They were a little more tired than my 4 guys. But my 4 guys had to make up 8 minutes on them. That's harder. They had to ride harder. They made up 6.5 almost. They got close. But without any other support, it was what it was. It's on me for not noticing the rapid expansion of the gap. Walters does finish 5th. Hopkins 10th. Williams, Funsavith, and Abdullah all well placed. It was a good result for the team, and I won the points classification. And we ended up 3rd as a team. I'm still more disappointed by the mistake than I am excited. Folks, I guess we're here for a roller coaster ride. Lots of ups and downs. We still have 3 more Pop 2 wins to go out and get. The work has begun, and the pool is growing. So there are going to be some better riders coming to the team. And that's what it takes to get better, to improve, to win those higher level races. We've been shooting for the moon, and we've struck it once. We're going to have to keep firing away, but better, more accurate tools will help us along the way. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.